was talking to a friend this week about the story in the Gospels where Jesus walks across the water, and Peter's in the boat, and Jesus asks Peter to get out and walk on the water with him. Familiar sort of passage. And we were talking about the fact that was it the fact that the disciples saw Jesus as human? They hadn't fully understood that he was God at that point. That meant that Peter could then step out the boat and walk on the water, because here's another guy doing it, that he's a guy, therefore he can do it. He's not thinking often what we think when we read that story, which is, well, Jesus is God, therefore he can walk on water. Peter wouldn't be thinking that. He'd be thinking, Jesus can do it, he's a man like me, therefore I can do it. So he stepped out in the water, and I thought, oh, that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that before. And we do tend to put Jesus in this, well, he's God, therefore he can do these things, and we're not in the same way, so we can't. But actually, of course, we do have the Holy Spirit living in us, which Jesus promised when he went back to the Father. So therefore we do have the same capacity as Jesus, potentially, to do these things. So just an interesting sort of rethink around that little scenario, that little story, and thinking about the disciples seeing Jesus as fully human, as a man like them, because they hadn't quite got to that point where perhaps they'd realised that he was God. That's written back into the Gospels after the event, isn't it? When they realised that, he was the Son of God, he'd come to save the world. So just an interesting take as I had that conversation, and thought you might appreciate sort of thinking about that story from a slightly different angle.